Natsuki and I rammed the door as we flew into the parlor, quickly splitting up left and right, searching the parlor for someone who might be waiting for us. But what our eyes land upon was altogether outlandish scene.
Everyone but Maria is dead?
The parlor was stained with blood. The place where we had spent almost the entire day, where we had pressed in together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had become stained with fresh blood, had become an ocean of blood.
Blood ocean.
On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with blood. But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. It was us. That's right. That's how this whole tragedy started. Their faces were all mashed up like Dad and the others in the storehouse, and you couldn't even tell where the eyes and noses were. It was like someone had vulgarly gobbled apart a tomato pot stew wrapped in a pie crust, all gobbly and sloppy. And that wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. There were those demon ice picks. Have a good night. Thank you, Lionel. They were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh, or no, his knee? Yeah, that would be his knee. In the epitaph, the sixth twilight was the stomach, and the seventh twilight said to gouge the knee. After seeing one of them stuck near Kamisawa Ba-chan's calf, I couldn't help masochistically laughing. Of course it would be. On the sixth twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the seventh twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the eighth twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Now even the eighth twilight was over. And the next one, the ninth twilight. What was it again? Maria was there. She was facing the far wall, standing stock still, completely alone. Facing away from this horrible scene, standing in front of the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in the room. Just the corpses of the three who had been brutally killed, and the receiver still off its hook, showing that it had been in this room that the call had come from. Just that and Maria, her back to the scene, facing the wall as she kept on singing. We couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only stare shocked, our mouths hanging loosely open. Maria? Jessica called out to her. But Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept on singing, on and on. We had come here trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. Now we had found her. We should have been running up to her, hugging her, joyous that she was safe. And yet none of us could do that. Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it. After all, because that's right, it's crazy, and yet no, couldn't be.
Maria, stop singing! Are you listening?
At some point, Natsuki and I pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice, but there was no reaction. She just kept singing. With a candlestick I readied, I ran up to her and forcefully, no, violently slammed my hand down on her shoulder. Then I pulled on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around. Maria's small body was quickly pulled down to the bell. As though unhappy about her singing had been interrupted, she looked into my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal.
Maria, what the hell is this? Who did this?
Beatrice!
Enough of that fucking bullshit!
I threw the candlestick I had been holding against the wall. The violence of the reckless sound would have gone straight into Maria's heart, but her expression didn't change at all.
Hamilton, stop! Maria-chan, this time, you should have seen the face of the culprit who killed these three. Was the culprit the same Beatrice who gave you the letter?
Beatrice,
Okay, she's really pissing me off now.
No, that's fair. That's fine.
Well, now we know for sure. There is a 19th person. Beatrice does exist. Then, Maria, I'm sure you'll tell me this at least. How did they kill these 3 people? What the hell did they do to them to kill them in such a brutal way?
Don't know.
How could you not know? It happened in this room. Are you trying to tell me you were so absorbed in singing that song that you didn't even notice? Calm down, Bad Lagoon. Maria-chan, let's you and me have a chat, okay?
George Aniki, as he always did, crouched next to Maria so that their eyes met, and talked to her very kindly.
Maria-chan, can you tell me why you're facing the wall and singing that song?
Beatrice said to face the wall and keep singing for a long time.
So Beatrice came here then. Genji-san and the rest were still alive at that point, right?
We all came to the parlor together and sat down. Genji-san made sure to lock the door.
It was locked when we got here, but then how did Beatrice get into the parlor?
Yet Beatrice is a witch, so locks don't matter. She turned into butterflies and came into the crack in the door.
Huh? Give it a rest with your goddamn jokes. Like hell that happened. What are you going on about?
You can't believe it? That's why I didn't want to say. Even if I tell you, you don't believe. But Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her strange magic. That's why Beatrice doesn't care whether a door is locked or not.
And then, after Beatrice appeared, what happened to everyone?
Beatrice talked to us. She said grandfather's study was protected by a powerful force, and she couldn't enter no matter what she did. So she told us she'd select the 3 sacrifices from the 4 people in the parlor. They all begged her not to. Kumasawa kept saying, please, please don't. But Beatrice chose. And when she did, she said I would be fine. What do you think? It's because I had the scorpion charm with the 5th magic circle of Mars, upon which Battler prayed for my safety and which he put his feelings into. Because of that power, Beatrice couldn't do anything to me and me alone. So she decided to use the other 3 for sacrifices. Then she said this to me.
Come, face the wall and sing a song for me. You will sing lots and lots of songs. So no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you won't 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 know. Come, let me hear many fun songs.
So I was singing the whole time, over and over. So I didn't hear anything, didn't know anything. And then all of you came.
You expect me to believe that crap? Don't take me for a moron.
Then who will you suspect this time? Suspect me? Try killing me right here. Even if you do that, Beatrice won't stop existing. Even now, the 8th twilight is over, and Beatrice will revive.
No, she fucking won't. I'm done with this shit. I've had enough to last me a lifetime. There's no such thing as witches, and that crap won't work on me. I won't accept it. Beatrice doesn't exist. I'll never accept that she does. So I won't let it exist. I won't let it revive. The legend's a legend, and that's all that's ever gonna be. I won't accept something like that.
Battler, stop! It's not like Maria killed them or let them die. But Beatrice came and Maria had to obey, unable to resist.
Huh? Natsuki? She isn't here. Huh? What?
Mom? Where did she go?
She went out by herself just now reading a letter.
Letter? That makes sense. The culprit's done the 8th twilight and it's all gone swimmingly for them. They might as well left a letter so they could brag even more. We've been so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for one. But even as well-armed as she was, why she had left the room all by herself in this dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at the handles at the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open. Mom! Mom! What's going on? Open! Open! It was only natural. Natsuki had picked up the candlestick, which Battler had thrown at the wall, and which had fallen to the floor. She had then skillfully wedged it between the doorknobs on the double doors like a bolt, holding them closed. The intricate design of the candlestick meant it jammed well and formed a sturdy seal on the door. Tragic scream of a daughter from her mother. Did it reach Natsuhi's ears? Or not? Natsuhi was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place where the portrait of Beatrice had been hung. Natsuhi threw down the final letter from Beatrice she had read in the parlor, readied her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled in the massive space that was the entrance hall. I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi, representative of the Ushiromiya family. Show yourself, Golden Witch Beatrice! The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than the faint light which shone on the center of the room, everything was blotted out by jet black darkness. In the darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, and sneered. Natsuhi gave one huge gulp and pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the gold butterflies. At last, you have shown yourself. I still can't believe something like you really existed. But this isn't a problem. Both I, bearing the title of representative to the Ushiromiya family, and you, claiming to have succeeded the head of the Ushiromiya family, are here right now. At this point, whether you are a witch or not is a trivial problem. Come, let us settle this. Which of us will truly succeed the Ushiromiya family? Me, Ushiromiya Natsuhi, or you, Beatrice? Allow me to respectfully accept your request for a duel. The golden butterflies slowly formed a human shape, which walked into the dim light. Natsuhi readied the rifle and glared. The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsuhi's finger slowly squeezed the trigger.
And go!
Battler made an all-out dash at the door and rammed into it, crushing the candlestick that had been barring it and making it possible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candlestick through the gap, and the door was finally released. At the time, they heard it. They clearly heard, just once, the crisp sound of gunfire. Mom! Mom!
Jessica-chan, you mustn't run off by yourself. There was the sound of a gun just now. Natsuhi just shot.
At who? The culprit! The noise had come from the entrance hall. At the entrance hall looked like a stage. Like a heroine of a tragedy, laying down and bathed in light. Arrayed in the beauty of that silence, Aunt Natsuhi was faced up, crumpled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Aunt Natsuhi. On her forehead, as almost though a sparkling shard of pigeon's blood ruby had been placed there. And from it a single stream of blood makeup passed by her eye and began to traverse her face. A faint smell of gunpowder smoke had come from a barrel of the rifle Aunt Natsuhi still grasped. Oh. Then she shot herself in the forehead? Why? Mom! I'm not gonna scream, I'm sorry.
I don't get it. Why did Auntie run away alone? Why did she shoot through her own forehead? Maria-chan, Aunt Natsuhi read a letter before she left the room, right? There's no letter here. Damn it, what did she read? Why was she lured out here?
I don't know, who cares about that? Why the hell? Why suicide? Why did you leave me alone? Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body consumed by an anger I didn't know what to do with. I stole the rifle from Natsui's hand and spun around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides, as though I was pointing a light from a lighthouse trying to find the culprit. George Aniki, even in this situation, was trying to calmly figure something out, but that effort might be doomed to futility. And Maria alone was completely indifferent. Is she treating this like some kind of predetermined fate? No, that's not it. This is all prelude to a wonderful world. The door to the Golden Land will finally open.
On the 9th twilight, the witch revives and none shall be left alive. And on the 10th twilight, the journey ends and you shall reach the home of the gold. It's all over now, Beatrice! Congratulations! Congratulations! So lead me to the Golden Land you told me of. Right now!
There, all of the dead will be resurrected, and then the love they possess will be revived. So in Maria's eyes, it's just as though all of today's tragedies never even happened. And all of those days she spent deprived of love never happened either.
Will you cut that out? What's so fun? What's to be congratulated? There were 18 people on this island. 14 are dead. Only the 4 of us are left. I'm definitely not gonna die. Until the night is over. No. Until the typhoon passes and the seagulls gather again at the harbor, I'm definitely not gonna die. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna survive, definitely.
Give it up, battler! Guns are meaningless against Beatrice.
But not against you.
Besides, survival and everything else doesn't matter now, because it's over. The journey has already ended. See? Look at the clock.
Huh? The clock. Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both hands were almost touching near the top. Very soon it would be 12 a.m. In other words, 24 hours. What do you think about it? Is 24 hours a strange time? If you're thinking military, sure.
I was gonna say, at that point, wouldn't it be just, like 0 hour?
Yeah, it'd be 0, yeah. Yeah, 24 is 0. It could be called 24, but it could also be called 0. That's the hour of the culmination of the previous day, and at the same time, it is hour 0 of the next day begins.
Beatrice!
Maria suddenly called out happily and ran towards the darkness. It was almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in that darkness, and Maria was running up to her. As I looked down the barrel of the rifle, as Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, as George Aniki stood there shocked, we gazed into the darkness. Our eyes fixed just in front of Beatrice's portrait. And there, Maria leapt into a hug with the portrait's subject. You gotta be kidding me. This is ridiculous. Impossible. The madness can't possibly be. Witches don't exist. I won't accept it. Things like you must not exist, because this is the human world. You think I could accept something that's not human? Never. I will never. I pulled hard on the rifle's lever. The cartridge was ejected. It fell to the floor, and a new cartridge was loaded. Then I sighted the witch down the barrel. Maria turned around. Still clinging to the golden witch, she turned around.
Didn't I tell you it's meaningless? Mirror-lead bullets are meaningless against Beatrice. Humans are so stupid, aren't they?
I won't accept the existence of witches. Who are you? Just try moving one step. Just try moving one finger. I'll blast you away.
Gotta wait, because it's a big... Yeah, you gotta click through it. The laughter of the witch, no, the witches, was joined by the laughter of a large clock on the wall. It was probably telling us that the time was 24 hours. It was both a tone telling us we had reached the culmination of this day, and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothing. The rules had specified that the witch would win when time ran out.
Battler, George Onye-chan, and Jessica Onye-chan, the journey has ended, and the witch has revived. You see?
And none shall be left alive. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all of the golden land's gold. One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed. And one for the witch to eternally rest. Rest in peace, my beloved witch, Beatrice. That wasn't 12. Just saying, that wasn't 12. That was like 4. The storm had passed, and the leaden clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long began to clear away. Sunbeams shone from the rifts between the clouds. Yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again and let their lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police arrived and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who are to believe to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, from the body parts that were discovered from the gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival of any of the 18, including the children, were hopelessly dim. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the golden land. Those tales were for them alone, to tell amongst themselves. They have no tale for those who arrived after the banquet had ended. One can only but imagine what transpired during the course of those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point in leaving behind this tale, which had no need to be told, and permitted it to spread. A few years later, a strange wine bottle drifting on the waves of the quayside of a neighboring island was discovered by a fisherman. Stuffed inside were tightly rolled note pages. Within this tale, there would be these pages. The first come to the riddle-filled 2-day period began on October 4th. This incident would later be referred to as the Rokkenjima mass murders, the 18 killers of Rokkenjima. Lovers of the occult claimed it to be a sorry result of an immortal ritual to seal off the island. However, not one of these interpretations arrived at the truth of the facts. While the notebook pages tell of the mysterious incident, they do not tell of the truth behind it. According to the writer's signature, her name was Maria Ushiramiya Maria. Furthermore, as a research upon all police search, part of Maria's body was discovered, a piece of her jaw. Because that jaw had been separated from his body, the police consider her chances of survival to be hopelessly dim, even though no other parts were found or identified. Let us conclude this tale with the final paragraph of the notebook pages. By the time you read this, I will probably be dead, although there may or may not be a corpse. You who have read this, please uncover the truth. That is my only wish. Ushiramiya Maria. To this very day, the truth of the Witch Legend serial murder case has not been brought to light. First game of the Legend of the Golden Witch result. Bryan looks pissed off.
No, it's not because of this, but you know that podcast I've been listening to where I first heard of Alejandro?
Yeah?
Yeah, there were some episodes where they do murder mysteries, and I swear to God, one played out exactly like this. Where at the very end, there was a fucking, like, message in a bottle and everything, and this same fucking piece was playing at the end, too. God damn it, Falero, you fucking Umineko nerd.
Guys, the witch shall praise the wise and grant the 4 treasures! Because what they desired could not be gained from a mountain of gold, no matter how high. For George, his lost fiancée. For Jessica, her lost loved one. For Maria, the lost love of her mother. Rest in peace, Beatrice. May her slumber never be disturbed again. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. Of the 18, none solved the riddle. All 18 have died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive.
Nah, I want a refund. I want to fucking see Beatrice. Run it back.
Run it back!
Hit the rewind button right now so we can fucking get everybody.
Run it back. Guys, you thought we were done? We're not done. Hey everyone, good job finishing Umineko no Naku Koro ni! Man, I still don't have a clue what was going on when the story ended.
So what just happened? Was that basically the bad ending where time runs out where the culprit can get exposed? Definitely a bad ending.
I think so too. Beatrice's letter, which Maria-chan read on the first day, did tell us in advance to solve the riddle of the epitaph. We were also busy trying to protect ourselves and look for the culprit that we didn't even take a shot at it.
Yes, that's true. If we actually tried to solve the riddle, I'm sure things would have ended differently.
I wonder about that. Shannon-chan, you did a good job too. You don't have to be our waitress and serve tea. After all, this is a rap party. As a group of people who felt have met of horrible fate, let's get along and lick each other's wounds.
Lick, 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 lick. Speaking of a horrible fate, Shannon beats the rest of us hands down, doesn't she? She was such a beautiful character, so I thought she'd definitely survive until the end. But she was killed right in the beginning, and on top of that, what was it? Half of her face was smashed, right? That's the worst. That was my role, so, there was no other way around it.
Nesan, there's nothing for you to worry about. Judging by the final epilogue, even Milady and the others met with a considerable tragic end. It seems that way. I think I remember seeing this horrible picture, kind of like my entire body had been eaten apart and dismembered. Speaking of which, do you think that Kanon-kun's last moments were the coolest? Even though he had the tables turned on him, it was a showdown with a culprit, right? It was a whole bunch of better than our confusing last moments. Even though in the end, I was no match for her.
Still, I think Kanon-kun's death was a big hint. I mean, because of that, it became clear that a 19th person existed.
Yes, at the time, everyone's location was obvious, so it was impossible for anyone other than some unknown 19th person to kill Kanon-kun.
I did say it was Beatrice from the beginning over and over! Ooh. I don't want to believe it, but it does kind of prove the culprit was a witch calling herself Beatrice. That's right. There were many strange things that happened which a human couldn't do. Only a witch could do things like Auntie Eva's locked room murder. A human couldn't do that.
Not only is it clear that 19th person exists, but it's also obvious that this person holds a power that humans can't even imagine.
In that case, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling this person Beatrice.
We probably met at the very end. Met with the Golden Witch.
That's why I keep telling you Beatrice exists. It all went bad because no one ever believed. Even one of my witch friends says miracles won't happen if you don't believe. That's right. Beatrice-sama is generous to those who respect her.
I feel as if, despite the fact that horrible incidents keep occurring one after another, Maria-san wasn't in danger from Beatrice-sama until the end.
Maria did believe in Beatrice from the beginning. But then, so did Kanon-kun and the others, so how do you explain why they were all killed?
Beatrice-sama probably had her reasons.
If the epitaph poem represented Beatrice-sama's resurrection ritual, then she needed many sacrifices. He simply must have been designated to be one of those.
Shannon-kun, you met a horrible end. At the very least, I wish your death would have been more peaceful and pretty.
It's not like it hurt. Besides, as you can see right now, I'm perfectly fine, so don't worry.
Shannon proved this by stroking her cheek, which had been crushed during the story, and everyone laughed out loud, smiling. Which feels a bit weird saying this, but I was sure this story would be in the standard mystery genre. I was a little surprised to find out it's fantasy. After all, a story revolving around an inheritance set in a Western-style mansion shut away from the desolate island, I thought it was a classic formula for mysteries.
It's not a fantasy! Beatrice exists!
Yes, we know. Beatrice-sama does exist.
That's right. Beatrice-sama does exist. I hate to admit it, but I've got no choice. Because it's obvious that a 19th person, a witch, was involved.
He pulled off many things that would be impossible for humans. During the story, we thought all kinds of things, tried to deny that. But now I can say it clearly. Each one of them, all of them, were crimes impossible for a human. Those crimes would be impossible to carry out unless it was the witch Beatrice using the whole power of magic could provide.
The culprit was a witch. That point is perfectly clear. Long live Beatrice-sama. Everyone believed! I'm happy! Gods and witches might seem terrifying to people who are frightened by them, but I think they must have affection for those who believe and respect them.
I think it's just as you say.
So we're all done playing the murder cases. Now it's time to pull ourselves together and try hard to solve the riddle of the epitaph, just like Beatrice said, right? Agreed! Beatrice would definitely be happy.
We all ignored the letter during the story, after all. Even though it was thrust right in front of us, we completely ignored it. It's all I feel kind of sorry for Beatrice-sama.
I have a memo with the epitaph on it. Let's all solve the puzzle and let's solve the puzzle.
This story probably went wrong ever since that, lad.
And maybe so.
Maybe we should have tried solving the epitaph's riddle from the beginning like Beatrice-sama said.
Well, it's a little late now. Even so, let's try solving it now and see if the witch forgives us. Let's go, let's try solving the riddle of the epitaph. Here we are. Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved home of old.
As Maria put her notebook on the table and opened the page where the epitaph was written, everyone peered closely at it and had fun, lively discussion of how they were starting guessing this and that about the riddle. Surrounded by the smell of black tea and freshly baked vanilla cookies, they spent time comfortably and happily. Wait a second, you guys. Battler said in a tone that ruined the mood. His expression looked a little unhappy. Kind of like how Bryan's face looked right now. What could he not like about all of this fun? I've been listening to you guys, and why did you all stop thinking? Why are you so sure that the witch was behind all of this? Don't you realize that stuff like that doesn't exist? With just those words, the happy atmosphere of the tea party disappeared in no time at all. George and Jessica, and Shannon and Cannon, and Maria. All of them stared blankly, wondering why Battler was saying such weird things. Even the foolish and arrogant Battler noticed he had said the wrong thing. Well, come on. Isn't it clear that these climbs were impossible for a human?
Yeah. None of these cases would have been possible for a human.
That's right. After all, isn't it full of things you couldn't explain using humans? I don't understand what you're saying, Battler-sama. I'm the one who doesn't have a clue what you guys are talking about. Isn't it obvious that humans committed these crimes? There's obviously no such thing as witches, right?
Then, what about when I was killed in the storehouse, and something was horribly done to half of my face? If the culprit was human, how could they have accomplished it?
Well, I mean, it's hard to imagine they could have done something that awful. But that was the Rose Garden storehouse, right? Sure, there were plenty of weird tools in there. Don't ask me, but they could have used some electrical tool like a grinder or an electric saw, couldn't they?
That's... Okay, Battler. Then how do you explain Grandfather's disappearance in the locked room of his study? Grandfather disappeared all of a sudden even though the door was sealed, remember?
We talked about this during the story, too. It's not impossible that Grandfather used some trick to fool the receipt. It's also possible that he went out the window or fell out the window and not so he locked it from the inside. I could see a bunch of tricks you could use without relying on magic, you see.
That makes sense, but...
In that case, Battler-kun, how do you explain the way my parents were killed in the guest room? The door was sealed by the lock and the chain. Naturally, the windows were sealed too. How would you suggest a human could have killed our parents? Well, you're right, we did have to leave that trick alone during the story. Anyways, there's a good chance that the culprit had the key at least, and it was possible to look into the crack of the door where the chain allowed. This is extremely far-fetched, but it is possible that some device was used through the crack. Or maybe they brought something out through the crack? Well, even though the chains are incredibly simple, they're a big factor in constructing a locked room. But authors have done almost every possible locked room trick there is to do by now. If you bought just a few locked room mysteries from some bookstore or other, you could probably find some trick that would fit perfectly. Anyway, I can't think of one now, but I can state for a certain that a human could manage it somehow if they tried hard enough. Isn't that argument horribly irrational? It's just ridiculous to explain that it's possible for a human to do something even though they can't explain how. Why is that ridiculous? Why did all of you stop thinking? Even if it looks impossible, it has to be doable. Doesn't it always work like that?
Battler, you're the one being ridiculous! If you think a human could have done this, try explaining how. You can't, can you?
And just because I can't explain it, that immediately makes the culprit a witch? With all that argument, all of those unsolved crimes in the world can be resolved by saying a witch is the culprit.
Battler, you're sidestepping the issue and you aren't explaining anything. We're saying a human can't do it. Therefore, the culprit is something that isn't human. And that something is a witch. And yet you keep arbitrarily deciding that witches are impossible even though you can't explain anything. It's almost like humanity was just during the Dark Ages. Like those fools who claimed that the Earth couldn't possibly be spinning. That the heavens had to be spinning around the Earth, even though they couldn't say how.
That kind of argument kind of pisses me off. So this is basically what you're trying to say. If I can't explain how a human could do it, then I must accept the fact that the culprit is the witch Beatrice? It's not like we're forcing you. We're just wondering on what basis you can say such nonsense. Nonsense. Hey, is what I've been saying really that weird? Am I the one who's crazy? You guys are really starting to freak me out. Battler-sama, when I died in the boiler room, I was killed by a 19th person who shouldn't exist. Can you explain how a human could have done that? At that time, the locations of the 18 were well known. Even so, I was killed. We talked about that in the story as well. Kumasawa Bachan, for example. She said that she followed right after you headed down the boiler room. For all we know, that might have been a lie. She might have entered the boiler room with you and caught you by surprise. Or maybe when you stepped into the boiler room, you activated some kind of trap, and that one that might have set you up to get hit by one of those eye picks. After all, the stink of grandfather's body was coming from the incinerator. And someone was bound to come, so all the culprit had to do was set up a trap, and it would be more than possible for them to stay in from one place and create an alibi for the time of your death. You talk about a trap in the boiler room, but what kind of trap? That's right. After what happened, we all immediately ran over to the boiler room, but we didn't find any kind of weird device like that. That is correct. Battler-sama, what kind of trap do you claim I was killed with? Oh, well, I don't know that. But anyway, they might have pulled off some kind of trap, or maybe someone is lying, or what about this? Kanan-kun, what if the whole thing was just you play acting? That's it, you were play acting. Auntie Eva and Uncle Hideyoshi were also play acting. They were made the locked room themselves and were only pretending to be dead. Battler, has your head been feeling alright? Should I bring some cold drinks? Don't look at me with those pitying eyes! I'm not saying something that's crazy! I'm just pointing out possibilities that could have been used as tricks, alright? Look, isn't one of the cliches in murder stories that the victims aren't really dead?
Yep.
Cliches? Oh, okay, so, when Kanan-kun was killed, we really did know for sure where the rest of us were, and let's assume that Kumasawa Bachan wasn't lying, and that only holds true for the survivors. But if the culprit pretends to be dead, places themselves together with the real victims to hide themselves, and then acts on them their own later, then everything would be explained. I guess? Are you trying to say that Auntie Eva or one of the rest of them was the culprit? Yeah, but Dr. Nanjo confirmed everyone's death as a doctor, remember? That's right. Dr. Nanjo checked all the victims. Battler-sama, for your theory to work, wouldn't Dr. Nanjo have to be one of the culprits too? Yeah, that's right! Did you consider Dr. Nanjo might be one of the culprits and fake the proclamation of death? The whole story changes! See, that's also a cliche in mystery novels, isn't it?
But Dr. Nanjo was also killed.
About that. That's right. Dr. Nanjo faked his death. I mean, that wasn't anyone except Dr. Nanjo who could examine corpses properly, and everyone was really confused by them anyway. We didn't have any spare time to check to see if he had a pulse. With this theory, any one of the dead people could have been walking around. I think that would have been hard for the 6 of us who died in the beginning to do that. After all, the shutter was closed, and there was a padlock that could have been opened from the other side. Yeah! Mom was holding on to that key. So, was Mom one of the culprits too? Wait a sec. Maybe it was impossible for the first 6, but in the case of Aniki's parents, the door was only locked on the outside. So they could have opened it from the inside. That's right, after we left the room, maybe they jumped out the window and got to the boiler room first. Is that too much? Or maybe Dr. Nanjo made a mistake when examining the corpses. Look, he said it himself, right? He said that there was a very high probability of making a mistake when examining corpses. They disguised it well, or prepared a substitute corpse or something, or faked their own death. Let's leave the method or trick they use for later. And you see, it's not that hard to deny a 19th person exists. Much less a witch. At least that much is completely impossible.
I don't know why you have been acting so stubbornly to say that one of us is the culprit. So in other words, you want to suspect one of your relatives?
That's not it. I can't easily accept that a 19th person existed. And even if one did, I think we should construct our argument from the point of view of the culprit was a human. Witches are something you only start talking about in desperation, at the very end, after everything else has been disproved. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, come on! There's no way witches exist, right? Why have you all suddenly been casually accepting that the culprit is a witch? I think it's great how your family love makes you hate the thought that someone close to you is a murderer. But is it alright to just brush things off like that? Do you want to find the detestable culprit who killed so many people? Aniki, you want to revenge your parents, don't you? Jessica, you want to avenge Kanan-kun, and Kanan-kun, you want to avenge Shannon-chan, right? Shannon-chan, you should at least want to know who was it that killed you. Why have you all totally surrendered and accepted that the culprit is a witch? What's wrong with all of you? The foolish and short-tempered battler tried to force his ignorance on others by yelling at them. However, everyone just looked at him pityingly, silently watching over him. Then, the wise Maria laughed and pointed out Battler's mistake for him.
We're just astounded. All you've been doing is repeating this nonsense, thinking you figured something out, Battler. So what? And? How could a human do it? Concretely. Wherever we ask those questions, all you can say is, I just can't think of anything now. Or with some kind of a device or something, using abstract words to run away and evade the topic. In fact, I want to ask you, Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice? She exists, so why don't you believe?
She doesn't exist! Witches don't exist! There's no way! We didn't even see her at the end of the chapter, right? You can believe it! We didn't see her at the end of the chapter! She doesn't fucking exist! He was almost like a stubborn child refusing for no reason. The pitying gazes quietly blanketed Battler, but they didn't reach his stubborn heart.
I'm noticing a different...
You're acting just totally like a child who can't have his way. Battler-sama, I understand your feelings, but Beatrice-sama does exist. Battler-kun, why don't you believe? Look at how circumstantial evidence there is. I don't accept the argument. If I can't explain it at all, it's all the witch. If you don't know how a light bulb shines, if you don't know the principle, does that mean it's all magic? It doesn't, does it? There's nothing that can't be explained without magic. All of this about witches and magic is an abdication of thought. You just surrendered and gave up because you don't understand what happened. I'm right, aren't I?
Well, I'm not surprised, but it looks like you're the only one who's not going to believe no matter what. If a single person doesn't believe, the miracle won't occur. So if you don't rethink your ignorant theories, the magic won't be completed.
Now I see. I finally figured it out. So in other words, you guys want to get me to say that witches exist, don't you? That everyone accepts this lie, that it will become the truth. That's what this is about, isn't it? Well, too bad. This is the one place I'm going to have to say, too bad, that's no goddamn good at all. I refuse. You guys are oppressing me, and that is exactly why it's no damn good.
Why?
Sorry. Why don't you let me flip over the chessboard one last time? If you want to force me to accept that there's a witch, there's a really easy way. And that's not the roundabout way of saying humans can't do it, so it must be a witch. All you have to do is actually show it to me. The way a witch did it with magic. Furthermore, what Maria said earlier is what will really dig her grave. You said that even one person doesn't believe, a miracle won't occur. But real miracles happen whether people believe in them or not. Even if I alone don't believe. So any miracle, or magic, or witches that exist only because I believe in them are downright lies! an uneasy mood following Battler's ignorant rant, was thoughtfully blown away by a very refreshing and light laugh.
This is basically setting up that.
Whose laugh? Battler was surprised by that voice, which he had never heard before. When he looked at George and Jessica, at Shannon and Cannon and Maria, he noticed that they had suddenly gone respectfully silent.
There you are.
Beatrice.
Wonderful! I haven't been able to meet such a charming human for quite some time. Would you like to be my battler?
Who are you?
So you don't even know the host of the tea party to which you were invited? Simply wonderful. You are graced by the presence of the Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years, Beatrice-sama. I am most honored to see you, Beatrice-sama.
Please forgive Battler Cruz ranting.
This guy's stubborn, and he doesn't understand the situation he's in. And yes, I do cackle like that. It is fine. After 1,000 years, most witches get tired of living. Once in a while, it's nice to meet a man with a backbone such as yourself.
It's quite an honor to be present when Beatrice shows herself, Battler.
Now this is some shit. Are you really that desperate to make me believe that a witch?
Oh, shit, my bad.
That a 19th person is the culprit? This is starting to get interesting. And it's no goddamn good. It must be an illusion of the witch Beatrice who's asserted by Maria and the others. And only when everyone believes in your existence will you finally be allowed to exist. You're that kind of fictional being, right? That's why you want to make me believe too. You can't exist because I alone don't believe in you. Isn't that right?
Your power of understanding isn't bad for a common mortal who knows nothing of magic. I see. It seems you were born with a strong magic-resisting power. A natural enemy for us witches. No matter how much we tip you upside down and shake you, you will never believe in us. Therefore, magic will fall short against you. That attitude of yours makes a great deal of sense.
I've got no clue what you're saying. It's very kind of you to go all of the trouble of showing yourself to us, but I don't believe you exist in the slightest. It's true that many strange things happened during those 2 days. Like Maria said earlier, even though I think that all of the tricks could be explained, I still can't lay out the practical details of each one. That doesn't mean I'll surrender. I'm different. I'm built different. I ain't like the rest. Listen. I'll never argue that it was the work of a witch just because I can't explain it.
My interest in you grows deeper. It'll be worth my time to break you. You're just the kind of man I'd love to force into praising my name. You're just the kind of man I'd love to force into kissing my toes.
Oh, you're gonna have fun with this, aren't you?
Oh, fuck yes I am.
Talk all the nonsense you want. I deny you exist. All of the events can be explained with human tricks. There's no room for even a speck of magic or witches.
Wonderful! This is the perfect form of diversion from 1,000 years of boredom.
He's not a minor. Battler's actually 18.
Battler's 18. Then, let me ask you. A short while ago, you said that using the crack in the door would be sufficient to kill Eva and Hideyoshi, right? Explain how you would do that using your human tricks.
Suddenly jumping right into the toughest part, are you? Does that mean that this is a trick you're proudest of? Miss Real Culprit? Oh.
Beatrice shook her golden pipe, and 7 colors of gentle smoke trailed out of the end. The smoke quickly obscured the surroundings, and then they were suddenly in the middle of the mansion.
That sound effect sounds so familiar.
It's used a lot. In front of their eyes, a slightly open door secured by a chain. Yes, this was the entrance to the room where Eva and Hideyoshi had been killed.
Nice trick.
Now then, show me what you would do to this small crack battler.
They probably had some device to shoot these ice picks. If they use that...
How would you aim at Eva over on the bed when you can't see far through this crack? And how would you reach Hideyoshi in the bathroom with the door shut?
Damn it. There's a crack. There should be some way.
If you can't think of one, allow me.
Oh? Go on. How would a great witch do it then? Come on, let's see your little trick.
Adler, you're being rude to Beatrice.
It's fine. Quite fine. What a charming man. It'll make it all the more enjoyable to break him.
Heh. You really want to make me kiss your toes that much? Only if I surrender. But what? I'll definitely expose this trick and I'll make you kiss my ass instead.
What a charming man. I shall remember that promise. Weak witches kiss the behinds of demons to gain power. Because there is no greater oath of total submission. It's words like those that give me the desire to subjugate you. Paying no mind to Battler's crude ranting, Beatrice once again waved her golden pipe. Yes, for that golden pipe was her precious magic wand. Come, arise, children. I am the guide of purgatory. Wield the 7 stakes which forgave the 7 deadly sins.
Arise, chicken. Chicken, arise. Arise, chicken.
Chicken arise. Guided by those magic words which sounded like a psalm, 7 stakes gathered. They were the stakes of the 7 demons symbolizing the deadly sins of lust-sinful people. Beelzebub and Asmodeus, come, forgive their sins. Release the spirits of the sinners.
What?
The stakes of Beelzebub and Asmodeus responded to Beatrice's call. The 2 demonic stakes burst into motion like billiard balls struck by a cue and were sucked through the crack of the door. Then came the sound of them deflecting repeatedly off the walls of the room, making a sound like a woodpecker. Finally, the pleasant sound could be heard.
A fucking deflating balloon.
It was a small, satisfying sound, like the one heard when someone is chopping firewood and the falling axe neatly and easily slices through the wood. It was the sound of the 2 stakes burying themselves deep into Eva and Hideyoshi's foreheads. Right through the middle. Wanna see? They definitely had heard 2 sounds like someone's forehead being split open. Battler wasn't permitted to see it, because he was on the other side of the door. But those 2 had died again, and this second time, they lay not an inch apart from where they had lain the last time, in the exact same blood spray as before.
You must be crazy. This is insane. You can't kill people with this insanity. That's illegal.
I most certainly can. It's legal here. I can kill them just like this. Suddenly, they were no longer in the hall but were seated in the tea party they had started from. Everyone but Battler was sitting meekly, but Canon was moaning, fresh blood dangling from his mouth. Such bad manners for a tea party. Satan's stake was buried deep into Canon's chest.
So these stakes are based off things?
You'll learn in chapter 2 who they are.
Canon-kun! Canon-kun! Damn it!
Battler was the only one getting agitated. George, Jessica, Shannon, everyone else was meekly hanging their heads like students being told off by their teacher. Canon, you were captivated by a trifling anger and tried to disturb my banquet! Your deadly sin is being easily captivated by anger. Cleanse yourself. Regret. Do it over. Beatrice-sama, please forgive him. I think Kanan-kun has repented enough. Wonderful. I'm generous to those who respect me.
Cut the crap! Don't think for a second that this piss-poor show of theatrics will convince me of your sorry existence. Like hell you're a 1,000-year-old witch. Your tricks aren't 1,000 years old. At best they're the accumulation of 100 years of cliches that the mystery world created. They're not magic. No way are they magic. All these crimes can be explained with human tricks.
You would explain my 1,000 years with 100 years by humans. Good. That's why I like you.
Foolish battler.
Stop yourself, Battler-kun. Beatrice-sama is someone you can't go against.
Shannon started moaning, holding her cheek. Maybe she had a toothache, but it didn't look like anything like a toothache. A slight redness spread across the cheek Shannon was holding. It looked like the redness was causing Shannon unbearable pain. She started to press her nails into her cheek, and drops of sweat appeared all over her body.
Shannon, hang in there, hang in there. What's going on? Damn it, what the hell is all that red stuff?
It expanded rapidly, covering half of Shannon's face. Then, the stupid dunce Battler finally realized.
See what I mean? Please, Battler-kun. Please believe in Beatrice-sama. I beg you. Because you won't believe. Because you won't believe. Magic is wearing off.
The first time in his life, Battler heard that sound like a pomegranate splitting.
Or a balloon deflating.
The red spray even landed on Battler's face. How sad. Shannon's face had been split in half, and her last horrible moments in that storehouse had been repeated once again.
Way. Shannon! Way. Damn you! Damn you! Stop it! Don't humiliate the dead! Don't humiliate the dead!
This time, red patterns began to spread across George's entire body. It was like a beautiful cloud drawn by milk when it's poured into black tea. They slowly spread out and extend across his entire body. As they grew more saturated in color, they seemed to give George increasingly greater pain.
Okay, see, I was reminded of Killer 7, like when you switch personas and how they just like immediately
Explode out?
Yeah, explode out, and like blood cells and shit.
Yep, you are correct. Looking at those bizarre patterns, Battler was petrified as he frankly thought with his pitifully clumsy imagination.
Yes, I would also. Sorry. I also hope that you would edit that in to show what I mean. Yes, I will be sending you footage.
Thank you. About the nature of the strange deaths that George and the others had experienced. Before long, the redness reached nearby Jessica as well.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Also, if I remember, like during that rolling peck,
Yeah?
weren't Jessica and George like invited into
Yeah, all of them were. Everyone was.
Not Butler?
No, everyone was. Everyone would die, and everyone would be taken into the Golden Land.
No, I remember it said, like, Butler wasn't the one, wasn't invited because he denied.
I would have to read it again, but okay, regardless.
Stop! What did Aniki do? What did Jessica do? Just stop!
Don't let the witch break your spirit. Deny her. Erase her. As long as at least one person denies her. She's an illusion that can't exist.
Well, that was a quick 180. Are you okay, Jessica? What? Aniki?
George was no longer shaped like a person. He looked like a pile of leftover meat after the good, delicious meat had been scraped off to be cooked. The only traces left of his time as a human were the shape of his lower jaw and ribcage. And it was clear that Jessica, who was covered with a steadily strengthening redness, was approaching the same fate.
Battler! Quick, believe in Beatrice. You don't. Everyone's magic will wear off.
Maria, it's all over your body too. That's fine. You can let her die. I don't give a fuck.
I resurrect all the dead with my magic. But as long as you don't believe, that magic will hold no true power. But I'm sure that a man of your caliber won't be broken by something like this, right?
That'll work! We don't want to tell our friends. We refuse to face reality. We gave it to the witch. But I know you. And I know you won't. Give it to that witch.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was wondering where she finally go. Yeah, I'm not screaming that. You can read.
Jessica! How sad. Jessica met the same end. Just like George, she ended up like a butcher's leftovers. Broken apart, melted, and all mixed up, so you couldn't tell which was George and which was Jessica anymore.
Battler, don't cry. Beatrice will resurrect the dead over and over. So there's nothing to be sad about. So, even if we die, we're still just fine.
The redness began eating at the whole of Maria's body. When he saw this, the foolish battler screamed out loud.
Damn it, I was hoping she'd pop. Because if that
She
were,
did.
Okay, I was gonna say, and nothing of value was lost. You bitch, you won't get away with this. I'll never forgive you. You call yourself a witch. You call this magic? I'll deny you with every last fiber of my being. I don't care what happened. Oh,
Yeah, it's going fast, dude.
is there no way to reread the... Nope, okay. I'll get you for this. You're gonna pay for this. You're gonna fucking pay. You're gonna regret making Ushiromi a battler your enemy. I'll deny you no matter what. Every last impossible thing. I'll explain it with humans. I'll erase every cell of you from this world.
That is the true ending of Chapter 1.
Okay.
So what do you think?
Honestly, I was waiting for Beatrice to show up.
I had to get to the tea party. I had to get to the tea party. I'm sorry, what? Yep, that's the end. There technically is a little slight more, but Bryan's had enough. So if anything, I will take you through the remainder of that last little section. We have to meet a very specific someone. If you know Higurashi, you may see a familiarity.
So there's still more after this?
There's a little more, but you don't have to join in this one. You don't have to because it's more of just a character exposition of a character that'll appear later.
How later are we talking? Like chapter 2 or chapter 3?
More like chapter 4-ish. She'll have more of an importance. around chapter 4, she definitely becomes important in chapter 5. Let's just say she becomes a big player in chapter 5.
Well, the question is, how long will this take?
Don't even worry about it. If you want to go to sleep, go for it. I will continue with this one. How many chapters? There are 8 chapters in total. Like I said, this game is bigger than the Bible. Going forward from here, we will do only sections of each chapter so as to not, like, overbear everyone. Unless all of a sudden it's like, hey, we really like what's going on. Let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah, because, like, how long was the last stream? Like 10, 11 hours?
Around 10 hours. And yet this is the true ending. This is
The
start.
yeah.
This is essentially everyone thought the game was about a murder mystery. Everyone thinks that this is a whodunit. The true game is how done it. That's the game we're going to play with Umineko now. This is a how done it. Because here are the facts. No one left that island.
Correct.
There were dead bodies. It said that none of the 18 technically survived. So, how did that happen? Was it with humans? Or was it with magic? That is what the next 7 chapters are going to explain. You will either take the side of Beatrice, the golden witch who is of the firm belief that magic will keep things eternal. Or you will side with Ushiromiya Battler, who has a firm belief that everything that occurred was all human. Now, there are positives and negatives to each. If you believe in the magic, of course, there had to have been a 19th person on the island. And that means magic was the only thing. No one killed everyone else. It was just one person using magic to kill everyone because of some arbitrary devil contract that Kinzo made. Or, if you choose the human side, which of the 18 is the traitor who killed everyone? Or was it a group of people? You're gonna have to figure that out. I love when I time that shit perfect. You speak well, Battler. That's the kind of thing that can divert me from my 1,000 years of boredom. Come, explain. Try explaining it all with your so-called human tricks. And learn how lowly humans are. Let's see you try to use what humanity has built up in 100 years to oppose my 1,000. It'll make forcing you to submit all the more enjoyable. So tell me, Battler, what about Maria's letter? How were the 6 killed? The shutter? The receipt stall? The receipt seal? The locked room with the chain? Cannon in the boiler room? Genji and the others in the parlor? Natsuhi's suicide? The riddle of the epitaph? The location of the hidden gold? Come, Battler. How did you show me the power of humans? Scream here. What sort of tea should I prepare next? You have free choice of any brand that has ever gone throughout the ages.
Dried plum tea. Those dried plums that go for 200 yen a pack.
For 1,000 years I have been fond of black tea, but I did not know of such a thing. I will never tire of living in this world. Beato, you don't have to display such hostility. I am just a wandering witch. I didn't come to the intention of violating the rules of your territory. There is not even a sliver of hostility. I'm just terribly concerned about seeing that the legendary witch, Lady Berncastel, is well attended to. You misunderstand. I am powerless. Before a witch such as you, with the dreadful power to kill a person 100 times over, I am completely powerless. What a powerless witch like you possesses a power that none can approach is truly terrifying.
This is the one with the, like, fucking magic widget?
No. Oh, she comes in chapter 5. After all, you fended off that great witch, Lady Lamba Delta, as a lone piece. I only won an endurance contest. She simply got tired. That's not what Lady Lamba Delta said, though. Too much humility can be unseemly, Lady Berncastel. That girl has a dreadful power. The power to kill a person without fail. However, there's no such thing as without fail in this world. Just as no matter how many times you divide 1, you can never make it 0. That girl has the power to bring that closer and closer to virtually 0, and give rise to a virtually absolute certainty. I hope I never have to fight such a terrifying witch again, even though she's technically my girlfriend. However, you have a power that manifests without fail except for 0! Although you say there's no such things as without fail in this world, you possess an infallible power yourself! How terrifying! The power to kill a person endlessly? I think you're the more terrifying one. Such jests! From your point of view, mine is but a trifling power. The phrase, flattery will get you nowhere, was made for the situation. Call it payment for my stay here. I'm a fleeing traveler who crosses the fragments, continually running from boredom. I simply came around because I've heard you started something interesting. Rest assured, I will leave of my own accord as soon as you start to bore me. I am deeply and humbly delighted to have the great Lady Berncastel as an observer! And so, your impression? Lamba Delta is terrifying because of her cruelty, however she was a girl I could understand. You do possess affection, but I can't understand you at all. That's why you're so much more terrifying than her. I'm fickle by nature. Do forgive me. Besides, I believe you are also enjoy trusting your fate to the role of a fickle dice. Is that not so, Lady Berncastel? When I roll the dice, I have a roll I clearly want to get.
So what's with the...
That's her ability. She can just step wherever she wants. I have a role that unlike you. You, on the other hand, anticipate all outcomes. And whatever role that might be, you're never disappointed. Whatever the role the dice show you, you're satisfied without fail. In that sense, you far surpass me. You're the one I really don't want to fight with. Inside of you, there's nothing but 0. That's why I can't win against you with my power. The worst matchup. Perhaps Lambda Delta, on the other hand, has a good matchup against you, since she would likely be able to kill your endlessness. Truly, tea is the best drink. Truly, tea is best drunk in the company of a witch. It's never boring. Good to hear. Boredom is the sole poison that can kill me. So don't kill me, alright? Lady Beatrice, endless witch. If such is your wish, I shall show you an even better time. In that case, wouldn't it be best if I brought the next chessport in right away? It seems that the next tale would do more for you than a refill of tea. Uh-huh. Just wait a moment. Something troublesome seems to have taken a liking to you. I'd really like to lend you my power, but as you just heard, that girl's power and mine have a very bad matchup. Unfortunately for you, but you really are pitiful, so I'll help you out just a bit. First of all, about that girl. She does have an existence that goes by the name of Beatrice, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she is a woman in an individual body. Do you understand what I mean? In other words, she's not some human. Her existence is a personification of the rules of this world. To beat her, you have to expose the rules of this world and unravel them. It'd be likened to learning the rules of chess by watching a few games. First, take a look over at the chessboard, and notice the movement of the rolls of the pieces. Then look for the conditions required to win at her game. When you've managed to reveal all of these things, her heart will be exposed. After that, you can rip it apart or crush it as you please. I'm being quite generous. Back when I was once human, it took me 100 years to realize even this much. This is my meager farewell gift to you, the pitiful one captured by Beato. This is like a single spoon. A spoon can be used for more than just drinking soup. You can use it to dig through a prison you're locked in, or as a weapon to gouge the witch's eyes out. Of course, you can also use the spoon to continuously sip the watery soup inside your internal prison. Don't get the wrong idea. I have no intention of becoming your ally.
We'll see about that.
I do feel empathy for you, but I won't help you. It's like how someone sitting in front of a television cannot reach the characters on screen no matter how much they yell at them. That's how you can tell I'm a witch, you see. I intend to enjoy the endless tales that Beato is going to weave until I'm tired of them. But I'm sure that alone won't hold my interest. That's why I'll lend you my power. It's also I don't get tired of this. I'm the cruelest witch in the world. No matter who the opponent may be, I'll absolutely make them surrender. Even if that's Beatrice, the endless witch. You are my game piece. Give it your best shot. I'll give you some advice sometimes, out of her sight. Just don't bore me, okay?
Bring us on the pawn.
She was speaking to you.
I was just saying, on pawn, rook, bishop, pawn. I don't know my place on the board, goddammit.